Okay, so I've done quite a bit since the last time I took a video. There's the tag, and here's my machine. You can see there's obviously a big scale difference. I've hooked up the computer right next to it, so it's easier to get access to. Some things of note. I picked up this tool recently. I was thinking of getting a jigsaw, but essentially what this thing is a jigsaw with a table. So what I'm going to try to do here is just quickly show you some of its features. So there's the jigsaw. You can see it comes on like the others. What's neat is I didn't really even realize this at the time, but you can take your shop vac line and plug it in at the top there. So you can suck directly into it and it goes through the cutting head. So that was neat. I used it to cut some metal today, and I'll show you where I did that. So when I bought this spindle assembly, which was originally from a tag, it came in two components, and the pictures will reflect this. The spindle assembly and the motor separate from each other. And this, along with this aluminum block here. But I had a problem. I couldn't. It's originally mounted right here on this edge, like you can see on my tag, on this guy. But as soon as I moved this block to this forward position up here, the belt went loose. It was not the correct distance. So I figured out the geometry and made a bracket out of angle iron, which you can see right here. And I cut it up on that tool over there, as well as milled it on my tag and drilled and stuff, and finally found the right angle to get good tension in the belt. Let's see. So what's kind of nifty is this was actually, once I had figured out this assembly, and it wasn't too hard to attach it to my machine. This back plate here is what I bolted on to the 2x4, and there's actually just like a set screw almost, like right here, which tightens on the gib on this V-block. So once I had bolted the V-block to the 2x4, I was able to just simply bolt on this entire assembly, and there we go, I had my motor attached. Now, another issue I encountered, which was attaching the ball nut for the Z-axis to the Z-saddle plate. That was a bit of an issue. And what I'd come up with was purchasing these corner braces from Lowe's. Once I had figured that out, I mean, I was going to try and jerry-rig something up in my shop, but it was just so much easier to just buy these things. You can see how that's done up there. Normally there's 6 bolts, but I couldn't get my fingers in there in order to get those. What I had done is I originally moved the ball nut above the Z-saddle, bolted all 4 of these bolts into place, and then I slid it down on the ball nut, or turned the ball nut down, and then put in these 2 screws here. I think I might want to add some more clamping, but for now this will work. So there's that. There's no limit switches on this guy yet, but I have had help from some friends, and we've connected them to RJ45, and she's already cut the wire to the appropriate length, so I just need to figure out how to wire it completely and just get it in place. I've already tested one limit switch in with the control board, which is now inside this very old computer case. What do we got? Pentium 2 computer case. Anyways, yeah, so once the limit switches, I tested the one limit switch and that worked, so I have reason to believe it'll work again. And there's, you can see where the RJ45 is connected for all 3 motors. I've actually kind of wrapped it around in different places, so that way the wires were separated by a good distance, so that way there's not a lot of EMF between each other. I should say EMI. So yeah, what else have I done? Well, let's just run it. And I have one issue I'd like you guys to think about, or maybe just if you have any ideas, I'd love to hear it. From what I understand, I have the each of the rails and ball screws within about 5 thousandths. There could have been some changes since I was assembling the machine, so I hope that's not the case, and I need to check it again. Okay, so let's just do some movements here, and you'll hear this issue I'm talking about. There's a little bit of whip going on, looks like, from what I can tell. But given the length of the overall machine, that might be expected. Obviously we want perfect alignment, but that's not always the case. So that's the x-axis. Here's the y. So, and then the z-axis. And it didn't make any sound that time on the way down. Now let's go up. Actually, I don't really hear it all that much. It was doing it before. Huh. And the motor is obviously moving up and down, maybe 1/8 of an inch per revolution. Alright, well, oh yeah, and I guess last thing I need to deal with is attaching a switch to this spindle, because unplugging it is not exactly the most elegant solution. So I went to the store, I purchased some stuff, what I thought was going to get me on the right track. I got a 13 amp 16 gauge cord. I mean, what I'm trying to do is emulate this setup here. And so I got this light switch, and they were talking about one-way, two-way, three-way switches, and I'm going to need to do some homework to wire that guy up. I got some paneling for it too, and somewhere around here, I don't know. Let's see some of my tools. I bought this vise. Not sure if I'm going to end up using, but it costs about 20 bucks, so even if I don't put it on the machine, it'll be useful somewhere. Well, that's just about the gist of it. So far, the machine's been a lot of work, but a lot of fun too. I can tell it's going to be exciting to get running on the first program. But yeah, I look forward to hearing what you guys think this issue is with the bearing mounts, and I suspect it's right. I mean, it sounds like it's coming from each bearing mount, or in the bearing spot, potentially for the ball screw mount. Alright, bye-bye.